Dublin Core of the Dublin Core Metadata Initiative. The purpose of Dublin Core was, from the start, to be a basic and easily understood standard that could be universally applied to anything. However, though it partially succeeded, it fell short of being the one-size-fits-all standard it was intended to be. There is a total of 21 elements in the Dublin Core standard. Title, the name given to the resource. Subject, the topic of the content of the resource. Description, an account of the content of the resource. Type, the nature or genre of the content of the resource. Source, a reference to a resource from which the present resource is derived. Relation, a reference to a related source. Coverage, the extent or scope of the content of the resource. Creator, an entity primarily responsible for making the content of the resource. Publisher, the entity responsible for making the resource available. Contributor, an entity responsible for making contributions to the content of the resource. Rights, information about rights held in and over the resource. Date, a date associated with an event in the life cycle of the resource. Format, the physical or digital manifestation of the resource. Identifier, an unambiguous reference to the resource within a given context. Language, the language of the intellectual content of the resource. Audience, a class of entity for whom the resource is intended or useful. Provenance, a statement of any changes in ownership and custody of the resource since its creation. Rights holder, a person or organization owning or managing rights over the resource. Instructional method, a process used to engender knowledge, attitudes, and skills that the resource is designed to support. Accrual method, the method by which items are added to a collection. And accrual periodicity, the frequency with which items are added to a collection. These core elements may be used in combination with metadata terms from other vocabularies in the context of application profiles as specified in the DCMI abstract model. Each element has both a description label for human recognition and a unique token, name, for use in machine processing. At present, Dublin Core is mostly used in libraries, universities, and fields that are heavy in the use of documents such as law. Endorsements including IETF, RFC, ISO standard, and NISO standard make Dublin Core still honored today by Google. However, schema.org is the preferred metadata of today's most prominent search engines. Issues according to Priscilla Kaplan's Metadata Fundamentals for All Librarians. The DCMI has been criticized for taking too long to produce basic guidance for Dublin Core implementers. There is still no approved recommendations for syntactical representation of qualified Dublin Core in XML and RDF. Guidelines for representing citations to journal articles in Dublin Core have been under development since 1998 and are still unfinished. Element requirement qualifiers for the creator, contributor, and publisher elements were omitted from the Dublin Core qualifiers because of lack of consensus within the usage board, and currently are still pending, despite the great need for these among implementers. It remains to be seen whether the needs of implementers will be satisfied more or less, while as the interests of the DCMI focus increasingly on theoretical and practical issues of interoperability. If you want to learn more, here's a short list of links to more information about Dublin Core.